People often look at what I do, and I think there's a perception that I'm a fighter pilot turned race pilot, but in reality I'm a recreational and general aviation pilot who flew fighters for 20 years, and now I'm back in that industry of the general aviation community. So I enjoy the grassroots flying, I enjoy flying Super Cubs, I enjoy flying the race plane, I enjoy flying my extra. And it all comes down to, it doesn't really matter what you're flying, it's just the fact that you're flying is the cool thing. And there's some pilots out there that judge abilities or ego or bravado on how much it costs to buy the plane, or how much it costs to refuel it, or how fast it goes, how high it goes. I'm exactly the opposite. I think I've probably been as fast or as high as most people in Australia. I've also probably been, in fact I do win the low flying competition because I crashed a plane and survived. So I've been to the spectrums and I fly the Super Cub now. I fly hang gliders. And it's all about the fact that you're out there committing aviation. And that's the purpose, it's flying an aircraft. And I get so much satisfaction from personally flying planes. I get great satisfaction from watching people fly planes, and I get the most satisfaction from helping people fly planes and enjoy it. Throughout my role as an aviator who people see on TV, we've decided to use that profile a bit to try and assist people in either discovering aviation, or once they're in aviation, assisting them do it safely. And we signed off a really nice venture with QBE to work on an airmanship program. And the basic fundamentals I talk about is, there's a huge range of topics, and it's extremely hard to define airmanship, but the 4 things that I think are important and part of the process of having good airmanship are preparation, planning, routine, and then maintaining your focus and situational awareness when you're actually on that flight. Most people probably tend to think of airmanship as just the last part of what you do when you're airborne, but the first parts are as or more important. So when we look at those 4 items, you've got preparation. Now, for me, preparation is a lifelong event. Preparation started for me when I was a kid, reading the crash comments with my dad, learning what can go wrong in an aircraft and how you should respond to those things, what your options are. It's not about preparing for a flight, it's preparation as an aviator. You then move into the planning phase, and for me, planning is for the flight that you are going to undertake. It's making sure that you know what's out there. You know what the weather is, you know what the NOTAMs are, you know how much fuel you're going to burn going there. Routine. Routine is also important. How many pilots have taken off with a fuel cap open, or they've missed, taken off with a pitot cover on because they've broken their routine. The routine has to be the same, otherwise you're going to miss something. No matter how experienced you are, you're going to miss something at some stage if you break your routine. And then lastly is that airborne focus and situational awareness. I often say that flying is great and it's a lot of fun, but it's also one of those things that you really should be training your brain that flying is fantastic in hindsight. When you're actually flying, it's fantastic, but you've always got to keep in your brain, something's going to go wrong soon, and I've got to stay on the ball, ready for that to go wrong. We always need to know where our closest diverts are. We need to know what's happening with the weather in front of us. We need to know when is that NOTAM coming active for the airspace. We need to be able to respond to air traffic saying, hey, there's something ahead of you, we need you to track via a different waypoint, and being able to do it at the drop of a hat when you need to. That to me is airmanship. Now just recently, OzRunways came to us at Matt Hall Racing and said, we like what you're doing with the airmanship side of things, and we think our product suits you and your operation. Now, we already used OzRunways, so I was familiar with the product. And we sat down and we talked about the principles behind OzRunways and what they're trying to bring to the community. And we found that it was almost identical moral values of what we're trying to do in aviation. It's about encouraging people into aviation in the most efficient manner and doing it safely and freeing up your brain space so that you can actually enjoy the act of aviating. And when I went through my airmanship principles, we realised that's already what OzRunways principles are. They've got the preparation. A huge amount of preparation has gone into creating the process of using the iPad and the iPhone and all of the products that are associated with it. You can't expect to use OzRunways by just picking it up and then 3 minutes later, after having never seen it, using it to its full capability. Preparation is the process of going to one of their seminars or reading their documentation, which is part of the application anyway, very easy to find, to learn how valuable these tools are and how much detail and information you can draw out of that iPad. Absolutely incredible. We then looked at the planning side of things. Planning, we can look at the weather, we can look at the NOTAMs, we can look at the winds, we can look at the runways, we can look at the airspace, we can have a aircraft profile in there that you click on that with the flight plan. It'll tell you how much fuel you're expecting to land with. It's what makes it easy is the cool thing. A lot of people learn to do that on paper when they're first learning to fly. They stop doing it. They start going, oh, I've flown that route 100 times. I know I'll get there with about 30 litres left. Now, it can be done in a heartbeat every single time. That then leads me to the routine, doing the same thing every time. Once again, a classic thing I talk about in routine is you're flying from your own airfield. Yeah, don't need to check NOTAMs because it's my airfield. One of the runways is closed and you haven't checked NOTAMs, you're going to look like a bit of a goose. Using the routine is great because to find NOTAMs in OzRunways, it is 2 button presses on your own airfield and you now know exactly what's going on at your airfield. And if you stick with those routines, you won't miss anything. Once again, it's leading to ease and safety, which leads to enjoyment of aviation. Now the last one is the obvious one, maintaining focus and SA when you're flying. If you've ever used OzRunways, you know how clear the information is presented to you. You can customize your own presentation, but the ability to change to a changing environment is amazing because you can rapidly listen to an air traffic control clearance, look down at your knee pad, highlight the route, drag it to a new point, off you go. Back in the old days, get the map out, blocking the sun, can't see where you're going, especially in my type of plane where it's going all over the place now. It's just so much easier. Know where your nearest divert is. Know how high you have to fly to be within glide range of that nearest divert. Aviation becomes much safer. You know where the traffic is, you know what your capabilities are, and you can plan much further ahead with the information at your fingertips. An example of maintaining your situational awareness and being able to rapidly change your process. I don't fly into Canberra Airport that often. The other day, I had to go down to Canberra for a meeting, so I jumped in the extra, had it all planned, knew which way I was going, off I blasted, contacted Canberra Approach, no problems, track direct, life's great, and it's on the route that I planned. All of a sudden they said, request change in tracking, request maintain 2,500, track by South Lake George. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have had maps and just gone, oh, where is that? First of all, you're looking around trying to find where is that. Next, it's like, righto, well there it is. You take a pluck, you go, well, it's probably going to be somewhere between 20, 40 or 60 degrees left. And now you're going to be staring at the map. You're no longer paying attention to traffic or what's happening in your own aircraft because you're now forced to track crawl to keep orientation on how you're going to a visual fix. What happened to me? Tracked by South Lake George, I look at my iPad, I expand it around Canberra, I know where Lake George is roughly, I go, there it is. I highlight the route, drag it over there, drop it, and then turn left by 12 degrees, and I'm on my way. So happy days, navigation is sorted out, aviate, navigate, communicate. I've taken care of the navigation. I'm aviating the whole time, and now I've got an ability to talk as required and maintain overall SA of how the flight's going.